Stand on the walls of York today and you're standing where Roman soldiers kept watch nearly 2,000 years ago. Walk its narrow streets and you follow paths laid by Vikings. Touch the stones of the Minster and you touch a building that took over 2 centuries to complete. This is a city that refused to die. Using advanced AI, centuries-old engravings and photographs have been transformed into living scenes. This isn't just York's history. This is York as it once was. Our story begins in 71 AD. Roman legions pushed deep into hostile Britain and stopped where 2 rivers meet, the Ouse and the Foss. They build a fortress called Eboracum. What starts as a military base becomes a permanent city. Roman baths, temples, and streets rise from the mud. York matters. In the early 4th century, emperors die here. One decision made in York reshapes the world when Constantine is proclaimed emperor by his troops, later legalizing Christianity and changing the course of Western civilization. York becomes a center of power, faith, and authority at the edge of the Roman Empire. When Rome withdraws, the city doesn't vanish. The Anglo-Saxons inherit it, rename it, and transform it. In 627, a pagan king is baptized in a small wooden church. When kings convert, kingdoms follow. York becomes a Christian capital of northern England. Learning flourishes. Scholars from York help preserve knowledge while much of Europe struggles in the aftermath of Rome's fall. Then the Vikings come. In 866, longships slip up the river before dawn. York falls in a single day. Renamed Jorvik, it becomes a Viking capital, not just raided, but rebuilt. Traders, craftsmen, and families turn the city into one of the most important hubs in the Norse world. Archaeology later reveals streets so well preserved that tools, leather, and even seeds survive 1,000 years underground. Viking rule ends in blood, and York briefly returns to English hands until 1066 changes everything. After the Norman conquest, York rebels. William's response is brutal. The north is systematically destroyed. Farms burned. People starve. The city survives, but the lesson is clear: defiance will be crushed. York recovers again. Trade brings wealth. The Minster grows from wood to stone, generation by generation. But prosperity comes with darkness. In 1190, York's Jewish community is massacred in one of the most shameful episodes in English history. The city is powerful and capable of cruelty. By the 13th century, York is rich from the wool trade and granted self-government. For a time, it even serves as the capital of England during wars with Scotland. Kings marry here. Armies march from its gates. Then comes the Black Death. Nearly half the population dies. Workshops empty. Streets fall silent. But once more, York endures. The Wars of the Roses place York at the heart of English Civil War. Kings rise and fall. Richard III, York's champion, dies in battle in 1485. With him ends an era. Religious conflict follows. Monasteries are destroyed. Faith goes underground. In 1586, a butcher's wife is executed for protecting priests, choosing death to save her children. York remembers her as a saint. The 17th century brings siege and civil war again. The city starves, surrenders, and watches monarchy collapse. After centuries of violence, York finally enters a quieter age. Then modernity arrives. Railways connect York to the nation. Tourists replace armies. Museums, universities, and heritage sites reshape the city's purpose. Even bombs in World War II fail to destroy its heart. Fires scar the Minster, but it is rebuilt again and again. 2,000 years. 70 generations. Roman soldiers, Viking traders, medieval scholars, kings, rebels, and ordinary people, all leaving their mark. York has seen the worst and best of humanity. Through everything, it survived. And that is why this city matters, not just to England, but to the story of civilization itself.